Freiburg, Sevilla, Olympic Lyon, all these clubs are interested in our 20-year-old midfielder Hannibal Mejbri to take him on loan. This confusion has left him at crossroads. In fact, he has turned down the opportunity to represent his country in the upcoming Africa Cup of Nations. Welcome to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb. To be honest, on a Friday like this, when I'm sipping on my porridge, after an Arsenal loss in a London derby, I'm almost compelled to bash these Arsenal guys. Come on. I know wherever you are watching United Hotspot, after they lost to West Ham, I'm very sure you had a lot of flack to take from Arsenal supporters. So why not? We can get back at them because, yes, the same West Ham beat us by 2-0, but it wasn't at home. It was in London. But in the London derby at Emirates Stadium, Arsenal is beaten after dominating play, passing, and enjoying themselves. Football is not about just passing. Be effective. When will this club ever win a title, a Premier League title? Anyway, I'm not here to bash Arsenal guys. I know they're emotional. They can come at me. They can get at me. And I know you guys can leave me there. You can leave me there when they come at me. I can start a war, and I'm hoping you will back me up. But you're known. You people are the worst betrayers in life. You will leave me to die in my own movie. So let me stick to my menu because these Arsenal guys, Hmm? You know them. They are not easy. Anyway, let's talk Hannibal Mejbri. So the situation is interesting now. Mejbri, first of all, turns down the big opportunity of a lifetime to represent his country at the Africa Cup of Nations. The boy is 20. His national team coach confirmed that it was his decision because he is at crossroads. It's at a critical time in his career where he's got to make decisions. Now, honestly, if you look at the youngsters we've got at Manchester United, and Hannibal is not an academy boy. We bought him from Monaco just, I think, in 2019, comes around, he stays with us until about 2021. Then we loan him out to Birmingham City, if you remember, for 2020 to 2023 season. He comes back here, plays 8 games. By the way, he played games at Birmingham, about over 30 games for Birmingham. So he's one of those players I feel will be important for Manchester United without a doubt. Even in the games he's come out from the coming from the bench, I felt he has made an impact. He has made an impression for himself. He has scored a goal, a crucial goal at one point. He also, I think he scored. Which team was it? Was it Arsenal when he came off the bench to score? He has also, shown that he's a good footballer. He's only 20, and if you ask me, by the way, among the youngsters we've got, he's one of those actually I thought had an edge over the rest in terms of his progression. I think he has been a little ahead of the likes of Peristri, if you ask me. But him being loaned out now for me makes sense because obviously with all these players coming back fit, it's going to be difficult for him to be trusted by Eric Ten Hag. And we know that Ten Hag, by the way, has shown us that he can trust like youngsters. But I think him being loaned out makes sense. But the only issue for me I have is where do we loan these players out? I remember we loaned Johnny Van de Beek to, I think, Real Sociedad. Did it materialize, yield anything? I think he failed. He's now leaving, going to what, Stuttgart. Then you look at a player like Anthony Martial. We loaned him to Sevilla. What did we benefit from his loan? He came back and he was, probably even worse than before he left. We've loaned several. I think the only loan that has made sense for me is Amad Diallo to Sunderland because he made a huge impact, but also it was in England because the demands of playing in the English league are different. Now we are talking Hannibal, who had progressed in his career, and we are thinking about sending him to Lyon and Sevilla. And I'm thinking, is this the best place for him to go? Knowing the English league and by history, what I've just told you, most of the players we've loaned to Spain and and France, because now France is also being coming up in the conversation, especially Spain. We love to loan players in Spain. That's why even Mason Greenwood is at Getafe. I feel like the Spanish league is completely different from the Premier League. That if you loan a player who is developing the way Hannibal has been developing, you loan them to Spain. I don't think you're helping them progress. That's my opinion, and I can be wrong, but yeah, it's my opinion. You can give me yours, but I've given you facts that all players we've loaned to Spain have come back and have not really looked like they have improved. The reason you would want to loan, the reason United is loaning Hannibal now is not because we want to get rid of him. It's not because he's bad. It's because we want he's at the right time in his career. He needs to be playing football actively. So you want to loan him to a club that is going to give him something close to the league in England, the Premier League. And he has been bossing the Premier League in the few minutes he's been coming on. Taking him to Spain, for me, I think is taking him a little back because the physical demands, the style of game football played, the intensity of Spain is so different from football in England. You would rather loan him to a second division, a second tier team in England, the way we did the Amad Diallo. Trust you me, and Diallo is nearly fit. I saw him training. I saw videos of him training as we prepare for Nottingham Forest tomorrow, and I thought he looked sharp. I'll tell you, we'll see the difference. Unless the injury has taken so much away from him, and I like that Eric Ten Hag is taking his time with bringing him back. He has been training for some time, but they don't want to rush him, which for me makes sense. But the the loan spell for Amad Diallo at Sunderland to me made a lot of sense because Diallo was facing something close or similar to what the Premier League gives you. But you see, when you take these players to these other, small leagues, some people love to call them farmers leagues. I don't think it's a service to them. They will come back. Yes, they have been playing so much football, but what improvement will they get to help them make an impact in England? Because the English football league is so difficult because of its intensity, because of how technical it is, its physicality. So I feel for me, Hannibal should have been loaned to a club with playing to an intense league. I would rather take him to Italy because Italy is a bit physical. And he's a small player. You want him to harden up and all. But for me, France and Spain are not exactly the best options, if you ask me, given the point in his career where he's at. But also, there are people who feel Hannibal shouldn't be loaned. But again, like I said, that's again a difficult thing to say because seeing where he plays as a midfielder, and of course there's Scott McTominay, you've got Bruno, you've got Eriksen, you've got Maino now, you've got what's his name, Casemiro, you've got Amrabat. Obviously it's going to be difficult, but you know that in 2 years when he's 22 or 3 years when he's 23, you know that obviously in 2 years I don't expect Amrabat to be there unless he changes a lot next year, unless his game changes. But now already he's going to the AFCON. So for me, meaning at the end of his loan spell, I don't expect Amrabat to stay. Then Casemiro in 2 years will be done and dusted. So in 3 years, 2, 3 years, Hannibal will have space to play at Manchester United if he keeps improving, given what he has shown. But for me, I'm not really excited about the clubs interested in him. And these, for me, are the wrong decisions we've been making for the longest time. And again, that's why we needed new guys to be in charge of football matters, the Paul Mitchells of this world, because even a decision for such a young player on where to go on loan is so important, so critical. Like I said, it's a critical point in his career. That's why he had to sacrifice his opportunity to play for his nation in the Africa Cup of Nations, the biggest football showpiece on the continent, at his age, because he knows, and he's doing almost the same thing that Alejandro Garnacho did. Remember, Garnacho was summoned by Argentina, I think, before the World Cup, and he turned it down because it was a critical stage in his career. Uh, because he couldn't afford to go play in the World Cup when you're almost ripe at the national team. You're not there. He has all the time in the future to play for the national team. And now, obviously, now when he is summoned for Argentina, there is no way he will say no. He made the good decision if you think about it. So I think for me, yes, Hannibal can be loaned, but not Sevilla, not Lyon, not Freiburg. These are the teams they're talking about. Freiburg, Sevilla, Lyon. I actually think Hannibal can be a starter in many Premier League clubs. I think he can start in many Premier League clubs. Think about clubs like Wolves. Think about clubs like Nottingham Forest itself. Think about so many clubs in England where I feel, even Luton, I feel you'd rather keep him in England, having loaned him in Birmingham City before. You'd rather keep him in England because of the intensity and physical demands that are close to what we have every day at Manchester United than send him to Spain, Germany, or France. That's my honest opinion. But that said, I think we've got a good player on the rise as in Hannibal Mejbri. The United Hotspot. Do subscribe and let me know what you think. Should we loan him out? And if yes, where?